It was almost. Let's go. Let's not waste no time. We back to back. Let's go. Candace. So she's talking about BB War. Let me see if she gonna go in and she gonna talk to some of her military people. Camp Watuka. Yeah, them European planes and stuff. Let's just see how it's finna tap off into it. Since she knows how connected things are. Let's go. Come on, Candace.
See you in the chat. You are correct. It is a battle bun Monday. All right, you guys, I see you in the chat. You are correct. It is a battle bun Monday. I see you guys informing me. Candace the priest told you to chill. I hear you. I hear you. But I have to ask, have you ever just wanted to physically assault people? All right, you guys, I see you in the chat. You are correct. It is a battle bun Monday. I see you guys informing me. Candace the priest told you to chill. I hear you. I hear you. But I have to ask, have you ever just wanted to physically assault people, like, but it's Lent? So that's me right now. I feel trapped after this weekend, the ongoings online. I mean, we have basically everything going on in America right now. The main source of our problem is obviously that Donald Trump is treacherous. He is engaged in treachery with his Zionist cabal. We are currently engaged in a war in the Middle East that we cannot win, to be clear. Okay, we cannot win that war. We'll talk about more of that. The White House can keep posting their super fake.
Super fake. Come on, I'm trying to let this green stuff. Oh, it's waiting on me. I'm sorry. I was just acting like it was just gonna automatically disappear. Okay. What you say about him? There you go. Let's go.
Engaged in treachery with his Zionist cabal. We are currently engaged in a war in the Middle East that we cannot win, to be clear. Okay, we cannot win that war. We'll talk about more of that. The White House can keep posting their super fake and gay Mortal Kombat type memes. Finish him. Ooh, Scorpio. We did this in Iran. But the reality is we're losing, and we're losing badly.
Absolutely.
And that's what happens when you ignore people like Charlie Kirk and instead decide to listen to people like Mark Levin, psychos like Mark Levin. And further to that point, Trump has apparently allowed Mark Levin's special class of psychos to go after Tucker Carlson. They want to imprison him. They are explicit in that demand. And he has just revealed that the CIA has been spying on him. Cool. So that means that we're basically on the brink of a civil war on top of the global war. And it all could have been avoided if Donald Trump had listened to Charlie Kirk. Welcome back to Candace.
Let's go.
Okay, so let's begin with something that we can all agree on, right? Like, none of us, left or right, Republican or Democrat, will be taking any lessons, orders, advice, or criticism from Meghan McCain ever. Ever. It is principally one of the only things that has always united us, I think, a general sense that the McCain family is awful and is therefore removed from any ability to lecture the general public about anything, least of all on the topic of morality. So over the weekend, the neocons, I don't know what was going on, but they decided to really go in the paint and continue their attempt to outright purchase Charlie Kirk's legacy like it was being offered on an episode of Storage Wars. That's what this feels like to me, right? You've got Bibi, you've got Benny, you've got Joshie, you've got now Meghan McCain. Everybody's just like, can I bid on the Charlie storage?
Oh my God, Candace Owens. Oh, baby, I just cannot believe that you're gone. I'm gonna hold on to you forever. It's me and you forever. Forever, ever. Forever, ever. Y'all come on in, hitting the like button. This is going to be a treat. I can tell already, baby, how she's starting out, how this is about to go. Hold on, hold on. Oh, oh my goodness. Hold on. I'm going to back it up, but I need to switch some things up. Storage war over Bibi Net. I mean, over Charlie. Over Charlie. Hold on. Yep, I see where she going with this. Yeah, I want God to go ahead and shut it down. I know it ain't my timing, it's His, but I want to be done with this mess. I don't care. Okay, y'all ready? I had to make some changes right quick before I get deep off up in there, because this right here is going to be funny before it gets serious. I want to get serious, serious. Okay, let's go.
To really go in the paint and continue their attempt to outright purchase Charlie Kirk's legacy like it was being offered on an episode of Storage Wars. That's what this feels like to me, right? So you've got Bibi, you've got Benny, you've got Joshy, you've got now Megan McKay. Everybody's just like, oh, can I bid on the Charlie storage? I don't know what's in it, but I want it. I've got money. Yeah, that's what's happening right now. And we have now reached such a late stage of this neocon psychosis that Ben Shapiro is out there pretending that he's Charlie's personal knight. He was like, must have been Charlie's squire, actually, while he was alive. It is the most disturbing thing that I have ever seen in politics, and that's saying a lot. Like, I know that he's a maggot. I know that he just has to do maggot things. He saw Charlie's corpse, just like he saw Andrew Breitbart's corpse, and it's just irresistible for him. That's his nature. But the speed of it and the statement of it, instantly I'll pick up the bloody mic against the undeniable backdrop of how much Charlie could not stand him. It's just stunning, right? The persistence of it is stunning. Like, to know Ben Shapiro is to eventually come to a point where you simply are forced to acknowledge the fact that he's just a different species. He's just different. We can't understand him because it's a different species. A lion cannot understand the habits of a worm. No one's ever like, making a lion speak and try. No, he's not like, hey, well, I'm a worm. Here's my instincts. It's like he's just different altogether. But this weekend, he really went for it again. He decided to pick a fight with both Megyn Kelly and Piers Morgan, and to once again mix in this idea that he cares about Charlie Kirk's legacy. Right? Ben's entire existence, by the way, if you have not been paying attention, is calling for perpetual wars and picking fights from the safety of his home studio.
And I bet
do not care
he can't fight nobody.
Says, okay? That little man belongs in a locker. That's where he belongs. Ben should be given a swirly every single day of his life. Ben Shapiro's head belongs in a toilet permanently. That is a scientific fact, and I will not let anybody dispute it. That's just the nature
The
of what he
toilet.
is. Anyway, so he decides to pick this fight for no reason at all with Megyn. Well, there is a reason. There's always the same reason with Megyn Kelly, and he calls both Megyn Kelly and Piers Morgan. He calls Megyn a coward and Piers Morgan a clickbait whore or something. And what is their crime? Like I said, the same crime that everyone commits, not groveling for Israel. That's it. He has some sort of a unique social disorder where he genuinely believes that if you disagree with him, you are an enemy that must be destroyed. Ben
That's
cannot
what we
survive
just heard
knowing
that
there are
the
people in the
Zionist
world that simply disagree
political
with him. He
movement
does
is
not know how
about.
to just go, oh, I have a different opinion, but we can still maintain a friendship. So he begins this back forth, and he drops this online. Like I said, Megyn is a coward. Piers Morgan is a click whore. None of that has anything to do with Israel or the Jews. Okay, Ben, the Mossad hasn't been in the United States since like the 1980s. Okay, we get it. Anyway, Megyn responds to him and basically calls him out on his BS. She writes, poor little Ben, and I do mean little, desperate for me to protect him. Can you
Oh, wow.
imagine being this
And I do mean
emasculated?
little.
It's sad. Why have they been stalking and harassing Megyn Kelly? Nobody knows. Megyn Kelly is a perfect example of someone that Zionists could have won the support of. She's been clear that she supports Israel. She supports Erika Kirk, Turning Point USA. But they can't do it. It's so all or nothing that they just demand 100% groveling, or they just push you out and then stalk you and gang stalk you and harass you. So Ben just has to mention me, allude to me in his response to her. And again, he's going to white knight for Charlie Kirk here. And he says, don't worry, Megyn. I would never ask you to protect me. You won't even protect Charlie Kirk's widow from the monster accusing her of murdering Charlie. So I had time. I had time this weekend. I had a lot of time.
Oh,
and
good. Did you hop in there?
So did the internet altogether, because there just has to be rules in life. Like, you can't suffer these sort of fools. We cannot go on like this in humanity. And it was just time to start sharing private conversations with Charlie, to know how Charlie actually felt about Ben and neocons more generally, in his own words, okay? Charlie could not stand Ben Shapiro. I have been telling you that because Ben operated behind the scenes to try to stop his rise. The same way he's treating Megyn Kelly, that is how he treated Charlie Kirk. It's how he treated me. He's just a nasty person who cannot stand when people become more popular than him, or when their position becomes more popular than his. If they're organically winning, he has to try to pervert the markets. He makes phone calls. He asks his fellow Jewish journalists to do hit pieces. Charlie lived this. I was there. It was driven by nothing more than jealousy. Charlie was so young, he was still jealous. And so Milo Yiannopoulos shared this back and forth. He wrote, Ben Shapiro began to secretly commission hit jobs on Turning Point USA a decade ago. Charlie Kirk knew. We met and we talked about it and discussed strategy. Kirk and I weren't friends for long, but while we were, all he talked about was how amazing Candace was and how effing evil Ben is. And he showed the messages, okay? Milo says, this is Ben. It's his fingerprints all over it. Can I post it? Charlie says, yes, but I want to allow this to play out before I say something, but go ahead. Could use your advice on this, honestly. And he's asking Milo for advice on how to deal with Ben, because he was, again, commissioning people, like he says, to go after him. I was there. This is the true story, okay? And it is, therefore, the worst kept secret in American politics that Charlie Kirk did not like Ben Shapiro. It's a fact. So I shared more private messages so that people can understand how deranged it is that Ben is so shameless that he showed up to Charlie's funeral, $1 million, and elects himself the great defender of his legacy. I'm going to defend Charlie Kirk. And in the name of Charlie Kirk, I'm now going to attack his friends. I'm going to attack his friends over the topic of Israel, a topic which Charlie had actually changed his mind on. That's the reality, point blank. And here's what I shared. I shared Charlie backing me up when Ben treated me publicly like crap, saying stand for on this honestly. And he's asking Milo for advice on how to deal with Ben, because he was, again, commissioning people, like he says, to go after him. I was there. This is the true story, okay? And it is, therefore, the worst kept secret in American politics that Charlie Kirk did not like Ben Shapiro. It's a fact. So I shared more private messages so that people can understand how deranged it is that Ben is so shameless. So shameless that he showed up to Charlie's funeral, $1 million, and elects himself the great defender of his legacy. I'm going to defend Charlie Kirk. And in the name of Charlie Kirk, I'm now going to attack his friends. I'm going to attack his friends over the topic of Israel, a topic which Charlie had actually changed his mind on. That's the reality, point blank. And here's what I shared. I shared Charlie backing me up when Ben treated me publicly like crap, saying, stand for truth, the people are with you. Thank you, Charlie, I will, and I will continue to do that because the people are on the side of truth. And I said, I know, I've been through it enough, with enough of these to know that truth always wins in the end. And he then laughs and wrote BTW. He was standing on a couch, and I wrote, haha, so good. And Charlie said, regarding Ben, he is unhinged. Stay the course. This is how he constantly spoke about Ben. Like I said, I have about 300 messages between me and Charlie to that effect, okay? And we spoke deeper also on theology guiding Ben Shapiro. I hate to upset the Shabbat Shalom crowd, but Charlie also was aware of the verses in the Talmud and its vitriol, its inherent vitriol toward Christianity. If you don't serve them, then it's problematic. And here is what Charlie said regarding the Talmud. He writes, there are some verses in the Talmud that will blow your mind. I said, I'm aware of them. He wrote, the Talmud is not biblical, but it is their rabbinical interpretations of Judaism. And then I did a deep dive one week, and he wrote thought crime, and I said, yep, this is the real Charlie Kirk that they are now trying to package to us as like a faithful Talmudic Jew who was friends with Ben Shapiro. Do you understand now how sickening it has been for me to have to sit back and watch Turning Point USA allow rats onto their ship, the ship that Charlie built, to effectively reverse course regarding what Charlie actually felt, what Charlie actually believed, and who his friends actually were? A reversal made infinitely more evil by the fact that his wife is at the helm of the company. She could stop that. Podcaster Brett Weinstein then waded into the fray, which was amazing. He was apparently in conversation with Charlie Kirk in June, before he died, back when Charlie went toe-to-toe with Bibi Netanyahu and won. Toe-to-toe with Bibi Netanyahu and the bandit of neocon criminals over war in Iran, telling Trump not to do it. And here is what Charlie shared with Brett about what he was doing at the White House. Brett opened this up by saying, on June 18th, I had a text exchange with Charlie Kirk. He said, spending 2 full days at the White House trying to persuade President Trump not to initiate a war with Iran. Given that Charlie was close with the president and that he represented a large constituency essential to Trump, and given that many proponents of the war with Iran saw a U.S. attack as urgently necessary to the survival of Israel, it is reasonable to wonder if his refusal to back down from his steadfast opposition somehow resulted in his murder. A good investigation could have settled the matter. What we got only increases the reason for concern. Asking this question may be unforgivable, but it is in no way unreasonable. Charlie was in a strong position to keep us from doing what we have done now, and the timing of his death removed him from the equation and likely changed the course of history, as Charlie himself worried that it might. He then shares this back and forth communication. Mind you, these people are telling you Charlie would have supported the Iranian war. And he's responding to something that Brett tweeted, which was supporting Charlie and saying, keep the pressure on. And he writes, right there with you, Charlie, we have to shut these maniacs down. Not only is the Republic depending on it, but the citizens of Israel are too. And Charlie said, thank you, I totally agree. Brett said, and by the way, I think the president needs us to keep the pressure on. The neocons are very vocal and admittedly powerful, but the public does not want war, especially not to be dragged into one by a belligerent Israeli regime. Charlie responds and says, I know, we need to do better. I have a theory on this, which is the power of the dissident media is very good retroactively at uncovering injustice or scandal, like COVID-Ukraine border. We are not good at driving real-time mass public opinion yet. The neocons are. I'm doing all I can. Truly, I was in the White House all day fighting for America. Same tomorrow. Okay? These were Charlie's perspectives regarding the Iranian war. That is how Charlie felt about neocons. He felt like they were maniacs. He's reiterated that times. He would have, the idea needs us to keep the pressure on. The neocons are very vocal and admittedly powerful, but the public does not want war, especially not to be dragged into one by a belligerent Israeli regime. Charlie responds and says, I know, we need to do better. I have a theory on this, which is the power of the dissident media is very good retroactively at uncovering injustice or scandal, like COVID, Ukraine border. We are not good at driving real-time mass public opinion yet. The neocons are. I'm doing all I can. Truly, I was in the White House all day fighting for America. Same tomorrow. Okay? These were Charlie's perspectives regarding the Iranian war. That is how Charlie felt about neocons. He felt like they were maniacs. He's reiterated that outside. He would have the idea of people like Mark Levin and the McCains and the Shapiro coming out and pretending like they represent who he was should sicken you. Okay? This is his honest opinion about what he thought about the likes of the Levins and the Shapiros. It's just a fact. Like I said, none of this can be disputed. But don't worry, because then what happens, because they're just getting pummeled with Charlie's own words online, is that our resident turncoat Blake Knapp is going to pop in, and then he tries to smooth things over for neocons, who are getting, like I said, revealed by Charlie's own words. And basically what Blake does is he tweets a lot of words to admit that I'm telling the truth, that Charlie did not like Ben. Here's what he has to say. Blake writes, since some silly claims are being made right now, no, Charlie Kirk did not, hate, operative word being hate Ben Shapiro. Charlie and Ben deferred about the best direction for the conservative movement. Ben supported Ron DeSantis in the 2024 primary, while Charlie was all in for Trump from the start. J.D. Vance was one of Charlie's favorite politicians, while Ben had been critical of him. Charlie saw Ben as a rival. They both had high-profile shows in major conservative organizations, and Charlie wanted his to be bigger. I'm sorry, I just have to stop reading because it makes me so angry. It is such an objective lie. Blake was not even around for the building of Turning Point. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. Blake, shut up. Take this tweet down because it makes me angry. Actually, I just got mad, okay? He's a liar. Blake, you are a liar, and you should be ashamed of yourself. You were not there when Charlie built this company. They were not rivals. They actually had nothing in the beginning that would have made them rivals. Charlie was building a 501c3 charity, okay? He wanted to be on college campus. That is not what Ben Shapiro was doing. Ben Shapiro was trying to take Andrew Breitbart's legacy and recreate it by manufacturing a scandal with the Daily Wire. They should have been natural allies. But then Ben had to be Ben. He got jealous as Charlie got bigger, and he went behind the scenes with his connections to the donors and started squeezing Charlie and trying to control who he could speak to. You're a liar, Blake. Why do you keep lying? At least you admit that there are rivals, that they were rivals, but the idea that rivalry came because they were both in the same industry or in the same space is factually untrue. It is factually untrue. Charlie was innately not a jealous person whatsoever. Okay? He liked to share, he liked to build, he liked to bring people into the fold. It's not possible to do this with somebody as petty and as short as Ben Shapiro. It's impossible. It literally is impossible. Anyway, the point being is at least he finally let the words out of his mouth that when Charlie died, they were rivals, okay? That's a confession, and I want you to pause and truly appreciate how disgusting it is that they're willing to say that now, but they didn't care after Charlie died, okay? Like I said, it wasn't because they held a similar space. It was because of what Ben did to Charlie. Putting pressure on the money, financial threats, controlling like he always does with the money. Don't let this person speak here. Don't let this person speak with them. I'm going to have donors. I know donors. My daddy has money. Make financial threats. Oh, the Jewish donors going to take away money if this person speaks. That's how he plays the game. But think about it. On the Turning Point USA side, think about the fact that they allowed Charlie's rival to actually, he's really into public humiliation rituals. He doesn't just want to disagree with his friends in private. He wants to try to destroy them behind the scenes, but he also insists on surprising his friends on camera and putting them on the spot and demanding their allegiance to his viewpoints. Like, he literally fancies himself on an episode of To Catch a Predator, but doesn't realize that he is the predator. Like, you just keep catching yourself being in a moral stage. Actually, he's really into public humiliation rituals. He doesn't just want to disagree with his friends in private. He wants to try to destroy them behind the scenes, but he also insists on surprising his friends on camera and putting them on the spot and demanding their allegiance to his viewpoints.
Okay,
Like he
hold on.
literally.
I'm stuck, y'all. I'm stuck. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Sorry.
Controlling, like he always does with the money. Don't let this person speak here. Don't. I'm gonna have donors. I know donors. My daddy has money. Make financial threats. Oh, Jewish donors gonna now take away money if this person speaks. That's how he plays the game. But think about it. On the Turning Point USA side, think about the fact that they allowed Charlie's rival to open AMFest by dissing Charlie's friends. All because of the all dollar. What does that say about the ethics that are guiding that company right now? Another thing to note is that Ben Shapiro has a very particular kink, if you haven't caught on now, which was on display on that AmFest stage, actually. He's really into public humiliation rituals. He doesn't just want to disagree with his friends in private. He wants to try to destroy them behind the scenes, but he also insists on surprising his friends on camera and putting them on the spot and demanding their allegiance to his viewpoints. Like, he literally fancies himself on an episode piece of shit. That's what he initially did to Megyn Kelly on her tour, no less, on stage. It's what he did to me. He infamously stood up on that table while I was employed by a company that he was a part owner of. And I find out how he feels about me, calls me a faux sophisticate because I tweeted that genocide was always wrong. That was my big offense. For some reason, he gets off on trying to publicly humiliate people who simply hold a different viewpoint than him, right? He doesn't know that outside of the Pharisees, deceit and betrayal actually doesn't register as cool to the general public. You don't look cool. Also, get your dirty feet off of the table. So what Ben does is he likes to prep, and he likes to put his notes, and he likes to plan to embarrass people that are his allies, who think that they're his friends, okay? Take, for example, what he just did to Michael Knowles. I want you to watch this. Ben knows going into this that Michael Knowles is the godfather to my daughter, okay? So he knows that there is a literal spiritual connection there because of that. Like, we take that very seriously. We selected Michael Knowles for a reason. He's a strong and faithful Catholic, and he's a good person. So for Ben, when he hears that, when he knows this information, for him to move Michael Knowles to publicly denounce me, to say something about Candace, that would give him a literal high. Like, that's irresistible to him. He needs that. He's just like a little gremlin. He just needs the evil. So watch what he does during a public discussion with Michael. Take a listen.
So if Candace Owens decides to slander the widow of Charlie Kirk, I think
He always bringing her up.
Say that this is a bad thing, even if they are quote-unquote friends with those people, and I find it an act.
Let's take that further. So obviously one should state one's view and say, you know, Erika's great and the attacks on her.
Like, he's a good person. So for Ben, when he hears that, when he knows this information, for him to move Michael Knowles to publicly denounce me, to say something about Candace, that would give him a literal high. Like, that's irresistible to him. He needs that. He's just like a little gremlin. He just needs the evil. So watch what he does during a public discussion with Michael. Take a listen.
So if Candace Owens decides to slander the widow of Charlie Kirk, I think that people have a moral duty to say that this is a bad thing, even if they are quote-unquote friends with those people, and I find it an act.
But let's take that further. So obviously one should state one's view and say, you know, Erika's great and the attacks on her are not right.
Well, Michael, I'll just ask you straight up. Is Candace Owens doing something evil by attacking Erika Kirk?
I think that it's wrong to attack Erika Kirk.
Well, say the sentence with her name in it.
I'm not going to dance like a puppet for the podcast.
You don't have to dance like a puppet, but you are dancing pretty quickly. I mean, there's a lot of tap dancing here.
I don't think there's any tap dancing.
He's obsessed, isn't he?
Totally counterproductive. And I think the people who are leading the invective against Candace are her biggest publicists.
He wants him to say the sentence because it has nothing to do with Erika. Erika's just the person he's using. He's not friends with Erika. He's never been friends with Erika. Never been friends with Charlie.
He just wants to attack her.
It's about me.
Yeah.
And this is just his tool to try to get Michael to bend the knee publicly. He is losing. The neocons are losing badly. Truth is their kryptonite. They cannot tolerate it. Which brings us to Meghan McCain, who apparently fancies herself the police chief of morality, apparently. Since private messages are destroying them in every manner possible, she's going to make a demand that people stop showing them. Here's what she actually wrote on X. She wrote, "Stop sharing dead people's text messages, you absolute psychopaths." Psychopaths. Wow. A diagnosis from a McCain. Meghan McCain. A McCain. Question, how many Muslim kids do you think had to be murdered for her trust fund? Like, across how many countries? Also, across how many countries, like Ukraine, were people subjected to bloody color revolutions led by her father, literally, in the streets, so that she could sit back and deliver lectures on what it means to be a psychopath? I want to be clear, I don't think Meghan is a psychopath. I think she's dumb as rocks. I think she has always been a blubbering idiot who offers nothing, and she is so dumb that she is completely unaware of how universally despised her family is. Meghan McKelly should shut up. She should shut up and enjoy her blood bunny, which is why I decided to answer by sharing another private text message from Charlie Kirk. And here it is. And it's very well said. Meghan McCain is a piece of shit. Yes, it's real. And I actually shortened it. It's longer, the exchange. Here's
Oh, wow.
what we said. I guess this is more my response. Meghan McCain is a piece of shit. And I said, just like her father was. And Charlie wrote back and said, disgrace. They are a disgraceful family. A disgraceful family for the ways in which they have betrayed Americans and allowed for mass murder and bloody wars overseas. So, speak when spoken to, Meghan, okay? Now, since they hate how much we will not allow them to lie, since they're upset with us for not allowing them to turn Charlie into the afterlife into a war hawk, right? A war hawk in the afterlife. We should probably check in on Trump's dumbass and talk about the war that we're currently engaged in, because he launched this war on Zio vibes, right? This was a Zio vibe war. There was actually no strategy in place other than to keep lying and deluding themselves, and something about a red heifer. I think there's some red heifers and a messiah into the afterlife into a war hawk in the afterlife. We should probably check in on Trump's dumbass and talk about the war that we're currently engaged in, because he launched this war on Zio vibes, right? This was a Zio vibe war. There was actually no strategy in place other than to keep lying and deluding themselves, and something about a red heifer. I think there's some red heifers and a messiah involved. So we're launching on Zio vibes and some red cows, okay? And it's been a disaster. It has been an unmitigated disaster. So much so that Trump is now going around asking other countries to jump in and help him. Big Ben Shapiro energy, right?
Hold on, y'all. Hold on. It's telling me I'm offline. Hold on.
Oh, you picked the fight and you can't finish it because you didn't think through the fact that Iran
Yeah, he didn't think through it. Hold on, y'all.
could just close the Strait of Hormuz, okay? Now, in case you guys are not aware of how significant this approximate
Connect will resume. Hold on. I need to pause. I'm offline. Hold on. Is she calling them in there? Hold on. I have no earthly idea. I don't know if we have an AI. I'm right here. I'm trying to see what's going on. Let's see what's going on. Well, it says your internet is connected. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know why that's saying I'm offline. Hold on, I don't want to. Okay, hold on. Hey, Bam, what can you say to that? Too funny, entertaining, screaming. Just make sure I'm not having system issues. Bear with me. Yeah, I think I am. Hold on. I didn't have a chance to do what I normally do in between. Yeah, so. That's something I'm supposed to be watching about what's going on in the country. Okay, so what did I just do? Yeah, some weird stuff is going on. Let me tell you that now. Stuff is disappearing. Give us strength.
Big Ben Shapiro energy, right? I picked the fight. Well, my daddy has money. Bibi has money. Blackmail. Oh, you picked the fight and you can't finish it because you didn't think through the fact that Iran could just close the Strait of Hormuz, okay? Now, in case you guys are not aware of how significant this approximate 100-mile strip of water is, you should know that roughly 25% of the global liquid petroleum moves through. It has been, he launched this war on Zio vibes, right? This was a Zio vibe war. There was actually no strategy in place other than to keep lying and deluding themselves and something about a red heifer. I think there's some red heifers and a messiah involved. So we're launching on Zio vibes and some
What
red
are
cows.
the red heifers?
Okay? And it's been a disaster.
What are red
It
heifers?
has been an unmitigated disaster. So much so that Trump is now going around asking other countries to jump in and help him. Big Ben Shapiro energy, right? I picked the fight. Well, my daddy has money. Bibi has money. In case you guys are
Did
not
not
aware
think
of
it
how
through.
significant this approximate 100-mile strip of water is, you should know that roughly 25% of the global liquid petroleum moves through this tiny little choke point, okay? Like, I'm going to show you this on a map. And Iran's just like, we're going to shut that down because we can. Look at this map, just so you understand. You can see Iran on either side of that. Massive country, 100 million people.
So is that that little curve? Oh dang, I got it too big.
And everybody is going to come to the table. If you are playing strategy, war games, you know that if you have not figured out that they could just shut that little choke point down, because who's going to stand up to them? The UAE? You're an idiot. You would be an idiot not to recognize that. But they are idiots. Okay? Okay, they are idiots, and they're following a prophecy. There's no sense here, and one that we're not following. And remember,
Yeah, I have no. Mm, I have no idea.
massive country, 100 million people, and everybody is going to come to the table. If you are playing strategy, war games, you know that if you have not figured out that they could just shut that little choke point down, because who's going to stand up to them? The UAE? You're an idiot. You would be an idiot not to recognize that. But they are idiots. Okay? They are idiots, and they're following a prophecy. There's no sense here, and one that we're not following. And remember, we picked this fight. Nothing was going on. Nothing was happening other than Bibi wanted the fight with Iran because they actually want to control that. And they're like, you know what? You guys got a lot of American sons and daughters. Send them over to die so I can get more. I'm just taking over everything. We've got this idea of greater Israel. So we are going to need like American troops to handle this. So we just picked this fight. Nothing was going on. We also randomly bombed 200 schoolgirls in Iran. And then we lied about it. I didn't lie about it. Trump lied about it immediately. Red heifer vibes. And now it's getting real all of a sudden because that matters. Okay? At the end of the day, the commodities matter. And Pete Hegseth gets pressed on this, and he had a remarkable response. Okay? Hey, that's straight. It's pretty important, Pete. What's your plan here? What's going on here? They're saying they're just shutting this down. Pete, with a highly intellectual grasp on how we got here and what we can do going forward. Take a listen.
The only thing prohibiting transit in the Straits right now is Iran shooting at shipping. It is open for transit should Iran not do that.
Oh, so it will be open if Iran didn't do that, they weren't shooting, and if they weren't angry, look, if our actions didn't have any consequences, like, everything will be fine. Like, everything would be fine if we didn't start all of this drama. So that's what you need to realize is the issue is Iran responding to the illegal war that we started. Not the illegal war that we started on its face, but the way Iran is responding to it. That's problematic. Yeah, this is a global catastrophe now, so much so, like I said, Trump is now demanding ground troops that he doesn't have, okay? We don't have the men for this because we don't have the desire for this. The desire has to be with the men. Like, the desire first, the men will follow. And we told him this. We were honest. The reason we elected you was because you wanted peace. We wanted an end to never-ending Middle Eastern conflict. He decided not to listen. There is no
He was
appetite
in
for
bed
this
with
war
Bibi.
anywhere. So Trump is now reduced to going around and asking or demanding other countries to get involved. And here is how the world is responding. And the reason they're responding is because of that choke point. Okay? That choke point in the Middle East. They're like, we're going to need that, actually. Germany, here, we'll just put this together for you, said, this is not our war. We did not start it. We want diplomatic solutions and a swift end to the conflict, but sending more warships to the region will likely not help achieve that. That's a strong no. The EU says it is in our interest to keep the Strait of Hormuz open.
One of them is not even returning his
Britain
text.
writes, while taking the necessary action to defend ourselves and our allies, we will not be drawn into the wider war. Okay? Australia writes, Australia does not intend to send ships into the Strait of Hormuz. We know how incredibly important that is. But that's not something that we've been asked or that we're contributing to. Japan writes, we have not made any decisions whatsoever about dispatching escort ships. We are continuing to examine what Japan can do independently and what can be done within the legal framework.
That's a no.
China, the recent tense situation in the Strait and the waters nearby has impacted the route for international goods and energy trade, disrupting peace and stability in the region and beyond. China once again calls on parties to immediately stop military operations, avoid further escalation of the tense situation, and prevent regional turmoil. from further impacting global economy. Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni on Wednesday, and she's a friend of Trump, delivered her strongest criticism of the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran, describing it as part of a growing and dangerous trend of interventions that sit outside the scope of international law. Like, this is illegal, is what she's saying. This is illegal. Spain says Spain will never accept any stopgap measures because the objective must be for the war to end and for it to end now. South Korea, we will continue to communicate closely with the U.S. while carefully reviewing the situation before making a decision. And the most hopeful message came out of France, which in and of itself is not very hopeful because the country despises him. Okay? They hate Emmanuel Macron and his husband. That's the reality in France.
I knew she was going to
So
say
nobody
something
cares what he
about the
says.
guy.
He's just saying what the
The
Rothschilds
guy,
told him to say.
First
Because
Lady.
the Rothschilds are Israel,
first
they created
man, I
Israel,
mean.
and they created Emmanuel Macron. So he said that he would be willing to use the French Navy to escort ships, but only if the conflict stabilized. Yeah. Thanks. We expected that from you. So this is the state of affairs today, you guys. Big Ben Shapiro energy, just starting fights and thinking that you have enough money or your daddy knows someone. Well, Bibi said I should do it. And that's all that matters. And you can see they're in a mess. Everybody's nervous. Nobody knows where Bibi Netanyahu is or why these weird videos look so AI when he's speaking. I mean, there's rumors that he's dead. He's certainly not acting like he's alive. I'll say that. So I think he's dead. I don't know. And we got here because Trump ignored the very base that put him into office. Trump himself became a never-Trumper, and no one outside of Israelis should support this man, like ever. Really, going forward, he's just disgusting.
Never ever.
We'll take a brief break, and we'll be right back. All right, you guys, thanks to you, last year, Preborn helped to rescue over 80,000 babies, and today, benefits. Each bottle contains 90 capsules.
We don't need oil. We have all the oil we need.
You, the very sensible reason. It's difficult to put into words. Doctor will review it, and your medical grade parasite cleanse.
We don't need oil.
So head to
Yeah.
twc.health/Candace
Oh my
or visit
God.
twc.health and use code Candace.
He's just going to lie his way through
$90
everything and then come back and say, come on, help us get the oil.
Candace.
Let's talk deals.
It's difficult to put into words how stupid Trump is for getting us involved in Iran.
Right.
And I think the best thing to do, therefore, is to allow Trump to explain to you the very sensible reason that he decided it was the correct course of action. This is him today, explaining our totally legit reasons for getting involved, and actually not even getting involved, starting this war. Take a listen.
Started.
We don't need oil. We have all the oil we need for ourselves. It's one of
Lies.
the great assets that we have. We have double, more than double, what anybody else in terms of oil production. We're at more than double any other country. So we don't need it, but we did it. It's almost, you could say we did it out of habit, which is not a good thing to do. But we did it because we have some good allies there. We have some great Middle Eastern countries there, Israel there. So we did it for a lot of reasons.
That was one.
So I would like to reiterate, we did it out of habit. We are kind of like in the habit of just sort of like mass murdering Muslims. Like that's just kind of what we do. We've been, it's just like a habit. We've been trying to kick it. It's so hard, but it's been decades of this habit. You know, nobody's perfect, right? Like my grandma smoked cigarettes or something and it never could really kick the habit. That's the vibe is giving us, right? It's just a habit. Like, oh my gosh, you ever like chew gum or say, It's a habit that we're trying to kick. We're trying to not murder Muslim kids for no reason. But then we just like saw the school the girls and we were like, oh my God, okay, we can't get to rehab. Yeah, this is America's habit. And then he tells us really, he's like, oh, that's not good. I stops himself there. So that's the real reason. It's not a good reason. Okay, what's our second one? We have a lot of allies in the region, really, because all your allies are saying don't do this. They've all said don't do this, except for Israel. You're a slave to Israel, Trump. Because you just want them to put your name on a building in Gaza and then put the building on top of all the dead kids, right? It's going to be a lot of dead Muslims and Christians, and you can put your building on top and it'll say Trump in that gaudy gold, which would be fantastic, right? That's what he's saying. So that's why we got involved. I just wanted you guys to hear from his own mouth because I couldn't explain because it was so stupid. And then when he said it, it suddenly was even more stupid. Red heifers, Zio vibes, hard to kick cigarettes. Cool. And we haven't even mentioned the fact that we're also losing Iraq. Yeah, no, so check out this headline. This is real. U.S. urges citizens to leave Iraq after attack on the embassy in Baghdad, because security officials say the embassy complex was struck by a drone after strikes killed 3 members of the Iran-backed Kataib Hezbollah and reportedly wounded its leader. So just so you understand, that's the biggest embassy in the world. I don't want you to think that that's like you walk down D.C. and it's like, oh, there's the embassy to Qatar, there's the embassy. No. It's bigger than Vatican City. It's basically an American city that's sitting in the middle of Baghdad, okay? And it's just getting hit, and Trump is saying, evacuate. Hey, guys, we're going to lose. We're already losing, and it's because we just can't kick this habit of murdering Muslims for no reason because Israel says so, because they want to steal their resources. We're just in the habit. And in preparation for that inevitable loss, which is coming, what is happening right now is actually getting quite dangerous because neocons are lashing out and they're doing what they always do, blaming everybody but themselves. All of this could have been avoided if they stopped deluding themselves, okay? They can just buy reality. And I thought about this for at least the last 3 weekends. I talked through this with my husband because it was a tweet from Michael Knowles that Michael Knowles was responding to, and I couldn't believe it. Right before we went to Iran, they started faking polls in such an egregious manner. Like they were just producing polls that were completely removed from reality. You know, they have these bots now in every comment section, and they're just sock puppets telling you everyone wants to bomb Iran. And it's like now the polls were basically like 150% of people support war in Iran. And I kind of my husband like, whoa. I understand tipping the scales, but this is delusion. This is very dangerous. Like I said, to what end? Why would you do this? Why would you create fake polls and fake people and puppet account? Everybody knows that this war is not supported at all. And my husband reminded me that Jordan Peterson used to say that you can only bend reality for so long before it snaps back. And so I just sat down in my bed and decided to just sit and publish my thoughts on exactly what is happening right now with Zionists and how Trump has been infected with their delusion. And it's because they genuinely were trying on a strategy of fake it till you make it with war. Fake it till you make it. Nobody supports this. Nobody will, we're just going to fake it till we make it, and just as soon as you get the bombs out there, we'll figure it out. Okay, so this is what I wrote. Jordan Peterson once said, you cannot twist the fabric of reality without it snapping back. Though his words were not shared in the context of today's current events, they ought to be recalled as we examine the objective failure of this administration's disastrous decision to attack Iran. Over the last 3 years especially, we have watched Zionists bend the fabric of reality. They have purchased views, influencers, and journalists. They have activated millions of online bots. They even went so far as to stage an open takeover of TikTok when they grew incensed that the youth was sympathetic to Palestine. With a seemingly unlimited budget, they have feverishly banned accounts, passed speech laws, only to discover that none of these actions amount to real power. In fact, they represent actions taken when power is on the brink of collapse. Because while bots can land in every comment section across social media, they cannot land plans in the Middle East. Bots are not capable of putting their boots on the ground and delivering you Iran. It turns out you still need real human beings for that, the very kind they have banned, blocked, and smeared for the better part of the last 3 years. No matter how many articles Very Wise publishes or how many monologues Mark Levin stammers through, the overwhelming majority of people in the world sense that Charlie Kirk was murdered for opposing this war and that Israel's hands are not clean in the story. Charlie Kirk's assassination and Netanyahu's response to it was consequential to Israel. There is a foundational principle that magicians should never believe in their own magic. It is important to draw a distinction between illusion and reality. It was not magic that maintained Israel's place in the world. It was a reality that people like myself and like Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly, however ignorant we may have been in our earlier assessments, once genuinely supported Israel and thought Zionism was a moral position to hold. We may have been wrong, but we were many. More crucially, the American people as a whole believed in the innocence and the friendship of Israel and were therefore willing to die overseas to defend her. All of that goodwill has now evaporated, and it happened virtually overnight. And in their sheer arrogance, rather than meaningfully working to restore relationships, Zionists continue to use tactics of slander, deception, lawfare, and yes, murder to force their perspectives. They no longer seem capable of making a distinction between illusion and reality. They wrongly assumed that with enough money, they could purchase truth. Zionists are quite literally their own worst enemy right now. No one believes them about anything anymore, nor should they. Calls to, quote unquote, prosecute Tucker Carlson or to bankrupt Candace Owens register to the public as exactly what they are, which is rabid, ill-advised demands from a bunker normally made right before an empire is about to fall or before reality snaps back. That is my honest opinion of what we are seeing. They've just been buying things for so long that like the economy online, I've been watching them say, like, they'll say things like Mark Levin is the top podcast. They're buying those things through ads. It's fake. The numbers are not real. Actually, it was just announced that if you look right now, me and Joe Rogan are in a three-way tie with one other podcast for the top podcasts. But if you actually go to Apple, it'll just keep telling you that no matter what, like, everyone loves like Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro. It's just not reality. They can't keep doing that. And so the question is, what is going to happen to them now that they realize that they effed up, right? They effed up. It's not going to work. They're not going to get what they want. And everyone genuinely understands that they're insane. Well, they're going to start making demands for people to get arrested, right? Because if you have the ability to delude yourself to that point, that you even made it to that point, it means that you're probably crazy enough to continue to fight to hold on to your delusions. Like, you don't want to wake up to reality, which brings us to their current demands, which is for Tucker Carlson to be arrested. For what? Because he tried to stop this war in the first place. Because Tucker Carlson actually listened to the American people and accurately assessed this was not going to be a 3-day military operation. Get 'em! Yeah! White House! Girl power! Woo! Power Rangers! Go, go, Power Rangers! This is what they're posting on social media. They think we're this dumb. That they were going to take down Iran. Like, we're talking about Persia. This is like a historical Persia. It was just going to all go down with a couple of cool memes. And people were going to go, yeah, I'm going to sign up for the military today. Yeah. It's unbelievable how misguided this all has been. And so now they're angry. They need someone to blame. They can't blame themselves. They can't blame themselves for being crazy. They got to go after me. They got to go after Tucker Carlson. And listen to what Tucker Carlson says that he discovered about the CIA reading his messages. Take a listen.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report, to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts.
I got it somewhere.
So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that.
I got
acting
it
as an
somewhere
agent of
where
foreign
he
power.
is sending
And I don't
Iran
expect this to go anywhere.
leaders.
I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of
Texas.
reasons. One,
Hold on.
I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics
Asking
and global
for
affairs, I
peace.
have only one loyalty, and that's the United
And they are ignoring it.
Messages. Take a listen.
So the other day I found out that this
Levin and Ben Shapiro. It's just not reality. They can't keep doing that.
I'm sorry. Hit the like
And so
button.
the
I had
question
to
is,
step away.
what is going to happen to them now that they realize that they effed up? Right?
Big time.
They effed up. It's not going to work. They're not going to get what they want. And everyone genuinely understands that they're insane. Well, they're going to start making demands for people to get arrested, right? Because if you have the ability to delude yourself to that point, that you even made it to that point, it means that you're probably crazy enough to continue to fight to hold on to your delusions. Like, you don't want to wake up to reality, which brings us to their current demands, which is for Tucker Carlson to be arrested. For what? Because he tried to stop this war in the first place. Because Tucker Carlson actually listened to the American people and accurately assessed this was not going to be a 3-day military operation. Get 'em! Yeah! White House! Girl power! Woo! Power Rangers! Go, go, Power Rangers! This is what they're posting on social media. They think we're this dumb. That they were going to take down Iran. Like, we're talking about Persia. This is like a historical Persia. It was just going to all go down with a couple of cool memes. And people were going to go, yeah, I'm going to sign up for the military today. Yeah. It's unbelievable how misguided this all has been. And so now they're angry. They need someone to blame. They can't blame themselves. They can't blame themselves
now
for
it's
being
gonna be
crazy.
Tucker.
They got to go after me. They got to go after Tucker Carlson. And listen to what Tucker Carlson says that he discovered about the CIA reading his messages. Take a listen.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the
Thank
Department
you,
of Justice
Trinetta.
on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from anybody. Don't need it, don't want it.
They can't blackmail you.
And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening around the world. That's literally what I do for a living. And I'm not going to stop doing that. Nor should I don't think. I'm also an American. I can talk to anybody. I have no secrets to divulge. So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it will even become a case. But the main reason they do it is to leak the existence of the investigation, such as it is, to the media, and then humiliate and terrify the subjects of this op. And that's, of course, happened to me repeatedly, many times. There are also people with agendas and grudges and no sense of restraint who are happy to misuse the power they have, granted them by our elaborate secrecy laws, to hurt fellow Americans for ideological reasons. That is entirely real. That's the story of Russiagate. And it's likely that things like that will begin to happen at greater scale now. So you should just know that going forward.
Yep. And instantly, as soon as you saw this video, deranged Zionists, started saying they hoped he went to prison. Like I said, they have lost, so now they want people just thrown into the gulags. I mean, don't forget, Bill Ackman, who's supposed to be a billionaire on his own merit, which Tucker contends, but he was retweeting when I said people should conscientiously object to this war, because they should. Of course you should conscientiously object to this war. You should find the legal means to exit. Why would you die for Bibi Netanyahu? That's senseless. And he starts retweeting people. And people who have their profiles in Hebrew, no less, being like, there's actually a federal statute, or this law A says that if you say this, then you can go to federal prison. Lock her up. Okay. If they don't die for Israel, lock everyone.
But they're okay with people being PDFers.
He tweeted this. It sounds like Tucker Carlson is learning the hard way. And I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you, I will curse. That is the truest interpretation for them of this verse. Listen up, Christians. You will die for Israel. You will die for Israel. You will support Israel, or we will ruin you. Okay, you will send your sons and your daughters to die. You will literally kill off your families, or we will ruin you. We will destroy you. We will put you into prison. We don't care about you. In fact, our Talmud, those of us who describe ourselves as Talmudic Jews, kind of tells us that you have the souls of animals, actually. Certainly,
they was turning away Christians
people who they view messiahs, okay?
At a safe
that's
spot.
the vibe. So when we write this verse, when we interpret this verse,
Underground
even though
bunker.
it's completely inaccurate, it means
not being.
It's a threat. Do what we say, or else.
What was it?
God bless you. You know, God will bless you if you do everything we say. It's a threat. Laura Loomer jumps in and she says,
so I guess only Jewish military people should be fighting
who I
this
believe
war.
Are taking money from Iran, Russia, and Qatar. I have attached my supporting evidence. As I told the DOJ, Tucker Carlson isn't the only one who is likely violating FARA. All of these traitors deserve jail time. Yeah, we're still waiting for the list. She keeps alluding to it, but she never published. Why do you have to give it to the DOJ? Why don't you just publish on X? It doesn't change anything. If you got proof that people are taking money from Qatar and taking money from Iran and taking, which by the way, that would be Israel that does that the whole time. Just publish it. Don't be coy. You're not known to be coy, Larry. Come right out and publish the list. On the sensible side of the pond are people like Alex Stein, who tweeted this. America is totally compromised by foreign actors if Tucker Carlson gets arrested before anybody on the Epstein list. Yeah, well, That sounds absurd, but that is probably a likely conclusion, honestly, is that it is more likely Tucker Carlson will be arrested than anybody on the Epstein list because this is Epstein's revenge, right? This is the class that protected Epstein, protected people who were harming kids, lied to us, gaslit us. This is like their final gasp. They're basically like, we're going to attack everybody who, for some reason, is just against pedophilia and wants this Epstein
Against
list. We're gonna start a
pedophilia.
war in Iran. People who are asking questions about Charlie Kirk. Nothing we've said makes any sense. And this hypnosis of us saying, having people repeat that it was Tyler Robinson, it doesn't seem to be working. So we're just going to go start another war for Bibi and just murder another generation of Goyim. I say no, Goyim, mark yourselves safe. All right, understand what is happening. Plug out of this system. I have absolutely zero respect for our commander-in-chief. He is serving Israel. He is not serving American interests at all. I don't even know if he comprehends. We have our own oil. Oh, it's a little bigger than that, buddy. It's a little bigger than that. Okay? This has, like, global implications, my friend. Iran will be empowered by this. People will just go direct. You've got bases all over. You see what's happening in Iraq? It doesn't matter if you've just got oil in Israel. Like, that's a very childish way of looking at things. Can I survive without their oil? Okay, what about everywhere else in the world? Does it impact all of your relationships worldwide? Does it impact, like, everything that you've been pouring our money to in the middle of,
Right.
in the Middle East, Iraq? We've got our own oil, and it's just going to be super easy for us to replace it.
What you say,
as we're
Krista?
sending
That is
barrels of oil from
disgusting.
Venezuela to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Because we did the military
is.
effort, they get to enjoy the fruits of it, of our labor. It's always Israel gets to enjoy it. Traitor, treacherous. Is
Yeah.
that it is more likely Tucker Carlson will be arrested than anybody on the Epstein list because this is Epstein's revenge, right? This is the class that protected Epstein, protected people who were harming kids, lied to us, gaslit us. This is like their final gasp. They're basically like, we're going to attack everybody who, for some reason, is just against pedophilia and wants this Epstein list. We're going to start a war in Iran. People who are asking questions about Charlie Kirk. Nothing we've said makes any sense. And this hypnosis of us saying, having people repeat that it was Tyler Robinson, it doesn't seem to be working. So we're just going to go start another war for Bibi and just murder another generation of Goyim. I say no, Goyim, mark yourselves safe. All right, understand what is happening. Plug out of this system. I have absolutely zero respect for our commander-in-chief. He is serving Israel. He is not serving American interests at all. I don't even know if he comprehends. We have our own oil. Oh, it's a little bigger than that, buddy. It's a little bigger than that. Okay? This has, like, global implications, my friend. Iran will be empowered by this. People will just go direct. You've got bases all over. You see what's happening in Iraq? It doesn't matter if you've just got oil in Israel. Like, that's a very childish way of looking at things. Can I survive without their oil? Okay, what about everywhere else in the world? Does it impact all of your relationships worldwide? Does it impact, like, everything that you've been pouring our money to in the Middle East, Iraq? We've got our own oil, and it's just going to be super easy for us to replace it as we're sending barrels of oil from Venezuela to Israel. Because we did the military effort, they get to enjoy the fruits of it, of our labor. It's always Israel gets to enjoy it. Traitor, treacherous. No one should support Donald Trump. That's all I'm going to say before I answer some of your comments when we get back. All right, you guys, I am always looking for snacks and supplements that are made with real ingredients, nothing weird and nothing artificial. That's why I have been loving Paleo Valley. Recently, my manager has been nonstop talking about their salted caramel bone broth protein powder. She puts it in her coffee every single morning, and she swears it makes it taste like a fancy coffee shop drink. So, of course, I had to try it, and she was absolutely right. It blends so smoothly, and it adds that rich salted caramel flavor, and you'll get protein, which is made from grass-fed bone broth. So it actually supports your skin, your joints, and your gut while you're sipping coffee. It feels indulgent, but it's packed with the good stuff. Paleo Valley offers their bone broth protein in a variety of flavors, from our favorite, which is the salted caramel, to savory, original, vanilla, chocolate, turmeric, ginger, and unflavored. So upgrade your protein and your snacks with cleaner whole food ingredients from Paleo Valley and feel the difference real food makes. Right now you'll get 20% off your first order at paleovalley.com and you can use code Candace at checkout. Again, that's paleovalley.com with promo code
I need
Candace
for
at
y'all to
checkout.
hit the like
Also
button.
want to remind you guys about American financing because maybe you have looked at your credit card statements lately and you're working.
Can I get y'all to double tap the face of your phone? Or hit the three dots at the top right corner. I'll wait. Oh, what type of bomb? Ooh. I know this is not real. Oh, Lord. What was this? Iran attacked Israel. Get the lights up, y'all. Is that real? Lights up, please.
40, 50 hours a week just to buy groceries and gas, things that used to be affordable. The banks are charging you over 20% interest for the privilege. Really think about that. It is designed to keep us underwater. American financing is doing something that the big banks really hate. They are actually helping people. They have mortgage rates that are in the fives, and they are showing homeowners how to take their hard-earned equity to wipe out that high interest debt. The average savings is around $800 a month. So
Did we have a military base guy here today in Qatar?
No obligations to see how much you could be saving.
I'm waiting for y'all to get the lights up. Did we get a military base in Qatar that got hit today?
And if you start today, you could delay 2 mortgage payments. You can call American Financing today at 800-795-1210. And that's 800-795. Laura Loomer jumps in and she says, for Bibi Netanyahu, that's senseless. And he starts retweeting people. People who have their profiles in Hebrew, no less, being like, there's actually a federal statute, or this law A says that if you say this, then you can go to federal prison. Lock her up. Okay. If they don't die for Israel, lock every American up. Okay. Here's Randy Fine. He tweeted this. It sounds like Tucker Carlson is learning the hard way. And I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you, I will curse. That is the truest interpretation for them of this verse. Listen up, Christians. You will die for Israel. You will die for Israel. You will support Israel, or we will ruin you. Okay, you will send your sons and your daughters to die. You will literally kill off your families, or we will ruin you. We will destroy you. We will put you into prison. We don't care about you. In fact, our Talmud, those of us who describe ourselves as Talmudic Jews, kind of tells us that you have the souls of animals, actually. Certainly is a perspective held by people who they view to be messiahs, okay? And that's the vibe. So when we write this verse, when we interpret this verse, even though it's completely inaccurate, it means it's a threat. Do what we say, or else. God bless you. You know, God will bless you if you do everything we say. It's a threat. Laura Loomer jumps in and she says, I have created a list, woo, of conservative influencers who I believe are taking money from Iran, Russia, and Qatar. I have attached my supporting evidence. As I told the DOJ, Tucker Carlson isn't the only one who is likely violating FARA. All of these traitors deserve jail time. Yeah, we're still waiting for the list. She keeps alluding to it, but she never publishes. Why do you have to give it to the DOJ? Why don't you just publish on X? Doesn't change anything. You got proof that people are taking money from Qatar and taking money from Iran.
Hey, listen,
and
y'all.
taking, which, by the way, that would be.
Y'all know
that would
how
be Israel.
people
Full-time.
do those test studies,
Residents in the area have
test studies for money.
The creature has not been identified
We
or
we
contained.
we may need to
The
hold up,
situation remains under active review. Authorities have advised
and
residents
it
to
don't
not
matter how
approach
much the money
entity
is.
This footage was located since the incident. He
Hold on. I don't know if it's true or not, but I don't trust nothing.
Local authorities. This footage was captured on a municipal security camera in Des Moines, Iowa. The individual, a male resident of a neighboring township, has not been located since the incident. He underwent an unclassified biological transition. Local authorities were notified and reviewed the footage. Subsequently, a canine entity was observed at a rural property approximately 12 miles outside the city. Residents in the area have reported multiple sightings. The creature has not been identified or contained. The situation remains under active review. Authorities have advised residents to not approach the entity if encountered. This footage
What
was
happened to the
captured
man?
on a municipal...
Gang, I'm just riding for my gang.
Daughter of a New Jersey police chief claimed her dad aped her as part of a satanic cult that burned kids alive.
Just riding for my gang.
Blindagem balística? Sim, isso mesmo. Olha a grossura dessa porta. São 20 centímetros de puro aço e metal pesado. É tão pesado que os guardas precisam de força para fechar. Nem o...
They found better ways to kill us.
Without us knowing it.
Watch what you eat.
Watch what you eat.
You are literally feeding your kids plastic glue and industrial lubricants. I'm talking about Oreos, that cream in the middle. It's not cream at all. It's rapeseed oil whipped with emulsifiers that act like edible glue holding the sludge together. And the cookie parts strip cocoa and chemical stabilizers enough to start clogging your arteries if you eat them too much. I scanned them with a Reveal It app, and it came back as 82% processed. This is unbelievable.
They found better ways to kill us.
Military collapse. A massive refuel of U.S. to follow Donald Trump's orders regarding Iran. This could be the largest military insurrection in history. It's going down. Hit the like button, y'all.
Are the draconians real? They are very, very real. Are the draconians fallen dragons?
Lord.
Yes. Draconians are fallen dragons, so they do belong to the dragon family.
Do we believe this?
Ancient dragons, the ancestors of the draconians.
Yeah. Trump didn't just bomb Iran. He cut China's oil lifeline, seized Venezuela reserve, and replaced London's 300 years insurance monopoly in 72 hours. It's a trap.
I listened to you on the...
Oh. No. I love these. Let me get to the ones I know. testing Jewish food versus food. Oh yeah. So what they saying is there could be some products that don't have that U or K on it, and then there's some that do. Grab the ones that do. Oh, what is that?
But they ain't going nowhere.
What is that? Oh no, I can't. Oh, I don't know what that is. I'm scared. I'm scared to look at it.
He's very much been open to seizing it altogether.
Yes.
Okay, what does that look like from every perspective, but also given where it's located all the way up there?
So if, let's say it's the Marine Expeditionary Unit, they would have to come through the Strait of Hormuz or be airlifted into a place like Saudi Arabia or Kuwait and then go after Karg Island. Now, let's take a look at Karg Island. They would come in here. These are the jetties that we talked about earlier, the airfield right here. They would probably do something like move into an area where they could take over the airfield, potentially take over this area because they could use it as a landing craft area for U.S. or Allied landing craft, and they could also potentially move in from this area to come into the beach this way, and then they would basically have a landing field. So kind of think a smaller version of Normandy and D-Day.
That's what it sounds like, because I mean, if you're saying they destroy the airfield itself,
right?
So this would have to be a water approach.
So, and when you look at the airfield, this is exactly what they did here. So they took out headquarters buildings, and they also ended up what we call cratering the runway. So what they did is take out the areas right here so that aircraft, when they taxi, they can't taxi the full extent that they need to take off, and they certainly can't land on a shorter runway like this. So that's what they ended up doing in this particular case, and it was highly effective from a military standpoint.
Right, and I guess so now it's unusable for now, at least for Iran. He's very much been open to seizing it altogether.
Yes.
Okay, what does that look like from every perspective, but also given where it's located all the way up there?
So if, let's say it's the Marine Expeditionary Unit, they would have to come through the Strait of Hormuz or be airlifted into a place like Saudi Arabia or Kuwait and then go after Karg Island. Now, let's take a look at Karg Island. They would come in here. These are the jetties that we talked about earlier, the airfield right here. They would probably do something like move into an area where they could take over the airfield, potentially take over this area because they could use it as a landing craft area for U.S. or Allied landing craft, and they could also potentially move in from this area to come into the beach this way, and then they would basically have a landing field. So kind of think a smaller version of Normandy and D-Day.
That's what it sounds like, because I mean, if you're saying they destroy the airfield itself, right? So this would have to be a water approach.
So, and when you look at the airfield, this is exactly what they did here. So they took out headquarters buildings, and they also ended up what we call cratering the runway. So what they did is take out the areas right here so that aircraft, when they taxi, they can't taxi the full extent that they need to take off, and they certainly can't land on a shorter runway like this. So that's what they ended up doing in this particular case, and it was highly effective from a military standpoint.
Right, and I guess so now it's unusable for now, at least for Iran. He's very much been open to seizing.
Okay. This is just not going to work out. We already know that. Let me let her finish.
Publish it. Don't be coy. You're not known to be coy, Larry. Come right out and publish the list. On the sensible side of the pond are people like Alex Stein who tweeted this. America is totally compromised by foreign actors if Tucker Carlson gets arrested before anybody on the Epstein list. Yeah, well, that sounds absurd, but that is probably a likely conclusion, honestly, is that it is more likely Tucker Carlson will be arrested than anybody on the Epstein list because this is Epstein's revenge, right? This is the class that protected Epstein, protected people who were harming kids, lied to us, gaslit us. This is like their final gasp. They're basically like, we're going to attack everybody who, for some reason, is just against pedophilia and wants this Epstein list. We're going to start a war in Iran. People who are asking questions about Charlie Kirk. Nothing we've said makes any sense. And this hypnosis of us saying, having people repeat that it was Tyler Robinson, it doesn't seem to be working.
Nope.
So we're just going to go start another war for Bibi and just murder another generation of Goyim. I say no, Goyim, mark yourselves safe. All right, understand what is happening. Plug out of this system. I have absolutely zero respect for our commander-in-chief. He is serving Israel. He is not serving American interests at all. I don't even know if he comprehends. We have our own oil. Oh, it's a little bigger than that, buddy. It's a little bigger than that. Okay? This has, like, global implications, my friend. Iran will be empowered by this. People will just go direct. You've got bases all over. You see what's happening in Iraq? It doesn't matter if you've just got oil in Israel. Like, that's a very childish way of looking at things. Can I survive without their oil? Okay, what about everywhere else in the world? Does it impact all of your relationships worldwide? Does it impact, like, everything that you've been pouring our money to in the Middle East, Iraq? We've got our own oil, and it's just going to be super easy for us to replace it as we're sending.
They're going to do exactly what I said to
from
do.
Venezuela to Israel, because we did the military effort. They get to enjoy the fruits of it, of our labor. It's always Israel gets to enjoy it. Traitor, treacherous.
Release the Epstein
no one
files.
should support Donald Trump. That's all I'm going to say before I answer some of your comments when we get back. All right, you guys, I am always looking for snacks and supplements that are made with real ingredients, nothing weird and nothing artificial. All right, top comments from the last episode. Surfer G-Man writes, 3 things that Charlie Kirk was for. No war with Iran, release the Epstein files, and audit TPUSA. Hence, who benefits from his death? That is a great open-ended question that we all know the answer for deep down. Bell wrote, Netanyahu is the worst president the United States has ever had. I so agree. Comments from today's episode. Jojo writes, wow, that was amazing. Thank you for articulating and advocating for us. Thank you for continuing to shed light on the truth. Thank you guys for supporting me. 7 Sheets writes, Magma, make America go Max always. I would buy that hat. Corey Henry writes, Ben was standing on a table and he was still too short. He needs a ladder to be a bigger Ben Shavina. Miss Moxie writes, I absolutely love you. You have a special place in heaven waiting for you. Good people are hard to find, yet you are one of them, ma'am.
Everybody should have a friend like Candace.
Thank you guys for the prayers. And like I said, extend those prayers to Tucker and Megyn Kelly. I don't know why they have been so obsessed and so terrible. Like I said, she's like was an obvious ally. Richardson Kuntz writes, thank God that you kept all the messages between you and Charlie. Keep speaking your truth, Candace. It shall set you free. Christ is king. Yeah, I said that to my husband because he always gets on me since we were together, since we got together, and he would be like, your digital life is such a mess. Like, how do you have messages from when you were in high school? I'm like, I don't know, I just don't delete my messages. It's just like a weird thing. He's like, this is crazy. And he's like, got the tidiest digital life ever. Like, he can't even find something that was like written a week ago. And I just don't live my life like that because sometimes I'm like, oh, I need to recall something. And in this circumstance, it has served me well. Lauren Dunway writes, your life has God-given purpose. I am a Christian, a patriot, a mother, a lesbian, and a small business owner. Evil uses differences to pit us against each other and distract. You are bringing together a critical mass across the spectrum. Imagine what we could all do together. Go, Max. I am very happy that we are coming together to look at a bigger picture and to really appreciate that this evil is not unique to the left or the right, and there is, in fact, a global elite working at the top. And they are serving the interests of themselves. It's Meghan McCain's piggy bank, right? And they will never stop demanding war. They will never stop demanding death. Israel worship, it's Baal worship. I mean, they have to sacrifice children. They cannot give you a reason for why our military hit that school, other than, no, Baal needs more children. That's it. That is how I read the situation. Megan Vincent writes, CIA targeting Tucker for talking to Iranians while AIPAC walks free as an unregistered foreign agent. The dome is failing. Carriers are pulling back. 175 schoolgirls are dead, and there's no apology. We are not winning this war, and we're losing America. Megan, that is so well said. He's completely like lost America. Like we're more likely. I wouldn't even call it a civil war. I think we're all on the same side. Like, I think, like, it's going to get real ghetto if they come to Carlson, like, real ghetto, real soon. Lauren, it's already pretty ghetto here, but that's really going to send people. Like, you're angry at him because he doesn't want American men and women to die overseas for Israel. Like, what is wrong with this administration? It's totally wacky. This is what happens when Jared Kushner is running the White House with his father, who is in Paris. I want to remind you guys, by the way, we have merch coming. I see so many of your comments about Battle Bun merch. We are going to get that together. In the meantime,
Okay, hold on.
Some federal judges across the country are getting increasingly upset with the Trump administration for not complying with their orders in cases involving immigrants. The New York Times reports, quote, at least 35 times since August, federal judges have ordered the administration to explain why it should not be punished for violating their orders in immigration cases. For instance, one judge ordered an immigrant be released from custody in Minnesota, but instead the man was let go in El Paso. The Times says this has come up multiple times in California, Texas, Florida, Massachusetts, Michigan, New York, West Virginia, and Puerto Rico. Former federal judge Jeremy Fogel joins us now. He is currently the executive director of the Berkeley Judicial Institute at Cal Berkeley's Law School. Judge, thank you so much for being here. What recourse, if any, do judges have? Does holding someone in contempt really have teeth?
Hello, guys. Carl is ready. Stop what you are doing right now and pay attention to this, because what I am about to tell you is not spin. It is not opinion. It is not...
What is all of this? I'm trying to get here.
Paused and couldn't stop. Vanessa, I'm really happy to have you here. Do you
Shout
remember
out to
that
Rach.
there was a gigantic oil spill in our country that happened in 2010? It was in the Gulf of Mexico off the Louisiana coast. And it was just apocalyptic. You will remember these images, right? The explosion, the plumes of fire and smoke, just this massive, massive, completely out of control fire on board this drilling rig out there 40 miles off the coast in Louisiana. 11 men died when that rig blew up. And then after it blew up and burned for a solid day, that huge oil rig, that drilling rig, sunk to the bottom of the sea. But that was only the start of the disaster, because they couldn't stop the oil spewing out of the well that rig had been drilling. Remember? There was literally a live feed we could all watch from the broken wellhead. You could watch the oil spewing out from this hole in the seafloor. This hole they had drilled, and then they couldn't handle it. And that oil spewed for 3 months. Millions of barrels of oil spewed out of that well and into the sea. And they just had no plan for how to stop it. You might remember they tried something called junk shots, which sounds dirty, and it was, but different than how you're thinking about it. The junk shot was where they literally shot junk into the top of the well to try to clog it up with anything they could find. They used, I'm not kidding, golf balls and pieces of plastic and pieces of old tires and knotted up hunks of rope. They just flung them at the spewing oil well, thinking that might stop it. When nobody could believe that this was the big idea, that this was the level of technological prowess the most profitable industry on earth was bringing to bear on this ongoing disaster they had caused and couldn't stop. When people were like, seriously, golf balls is your idea? Torn up bits of tire? The company then changed the language they were using to talk about their efforts to stop the spewing oil well. They stopped talking so much about the junk shots. They instead started insisting they would do something they called a top kill, which sounds way cooler, way more technologically advanced, way less desperate and random than a junk shot, but it was still the same result. Still the same kind of strategy that, like, you know, the characters from South Park might dream up to try to stop an oil spill. But the junk shots and the top kills did not work. They tried a whole bunch of times. It did not work. Then they decided they would just dump tons of chemicals in the water. They wouldn't say what the chemicals were. They called them dispersants,
Not the
though,
chemicals.
and the idea was that they would just dump these mystery chemicals into the ocean in huge amounts. These dispersants And hopefully that would make the oil disperse. Go away, oil, disperse. And that didn't much work either. It was just disgusting and toxic. And it wreaked havoc on not just everything in the ocean, but in the whole fishery and those coastal Louisiana towns and the whole region of southeast Louisiana and Barataria Bay. I remember reporting down there in 2010 and being nauseous from breathing the sea breeze, which is a thing that will mess up your head both in the moment when it happens and for a very long time after. That disaster happened, as I said, in 2010. That was the worst oil spill disaster in U.S. history. There was supposed to be a blowout preventer to prevent this underwater blowout. Turns out the blowout preventer did not work to prevent blowouts. There was supposed to be a bulletproof, foolproof, multiple redundancies,
like that,
comprehensive emergency plan in case of any type of accident.
Iron.
But the emergency plan was ridiculous. This was, again, in the Gulf of Mexico off the coast
Down.
of Louisiana. But the emergency response plan specifically for a spill at that site called for rescuing the walruses. Okay, walruses live on sea ice like polar bears. There are no walruses in Louisiana, but nevertheless, that was part of their emergency response plan that was supposedly specifically designed for this location. You might also remember that that emergency response plan had a call list, like who to call in case of a disaster, in case of a spill, and the call list was like people who had died years prior to that emergency response plan being produced. It was just an utter failure. Just a comprehensive disaster. Remember what that disaster was called? What the rig was called that blew up? It was the Deepwater Horizon. It was called that because that drilling disaster happened in really deep water, in 5,000 feet of water. 5,000 feet of water, the pressure is incredible. The temperatures are incredible. We as humans have basically as little experience operating in that kind of an extreme environment as we do operating in space. I mean, that Deepwater Horizon disaster, 5,000 feet down, it was sort of living proof, living, terrifying, toxic, fatal proof that even though the oil companies say they're great at doing stuff like that, they're actually not.
Just
the prophets of
lying, faking it till they make it. Just lying to kick it, fake it.
$100.
Oh my God.
The overall cleanup and compensation costs for Deepwater Horizon topped out at something like $65 billion. BP was held responsible for the disaster not only in court but also in Congress, where they basically had to prostrate themselves and apologize for all they had done. Deepwater Horizon, worst oil spill disaster in U.S. history. Happened in 5,000 feet of water. This past Friday, late in the day, very quietly, the Trump administration announced that it has approved a new ultra-deepwater drilling project. Unlike the Deepwater Horizon, which was at 5,000 feet, this new ultra-deepwater project that they just approved will be at more like 6,000 feet.
Tehran.
But don't worry, the Deepwater Horizon company that botched the 5,000-foot drilling and killed all those people and ravaged that whole part of Louisiana, and they couldn't shut it off for 3 months, and it made us at least, thank God, Barack Obama was in charge, and he had a Nobel Prize-winning physicist, Stephen Chu, as energy secretary, because at least that energy secretary could personally do the calculations and the scientific work to try to help get the blowout shut down. No, the bad guy in that story, the totally reckless company that said it could do that drilling safely, but they absolutely couldn't, that said they had an emergency plan.
He was smart enough to at least have somebody who said or thought they could, but didn't. Just don't have nothing or nobody.
Not prevent blowouts. That company, you'll remember, was BP. BP, right? Well, this time, don't worry. The company that the Trump administration has just given permission to do ultra-deepwater drilling in the same place off the coast of Louisiana, don't worry. This time, the company doing it is going to be BP.
Oh, wow.
They've given these drilling rights to BP, same company.
Oh, wow.
It worked out great last time. Also, don't worry, as the New York Times notes in its reporting on this new award from the Trump administration, don't worry, the emergency plan.
Y'all, please Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hey, Pink Fur.
This time from BP for the ultra deep water drilling.
Wow.
Their emergency plan this time is still basically the same emergency plan that they had when the Deepwater Horizon blew up in 2010.
If you fail the
plan
first
is
time,
still,
try
the New York Times
again.
notes,
Oh.
quote, dispersants, chemical dispersants. Once again, that'll be the plan. It'll be fine. It'll all be fine.
And then he'll be able to blame it on
No word
something
if they're still gonna
Obama.
focus on,
It'll
you
be
know,
Obama's
finding
fault
tropical walruses in the
that he chose to use
in case
the
anything goes
one
wrong. No
before.
word on if they're still going to try to call the old dead guys as their emergency contacts. The other reason not to worry, of course, is that this time, instead of Barack Obama being president and this being the Obama administration responding, this time the president and the administration telling BP to go for it. Watch out, Louisiana, here they come. This time, it's not Barack Obama. In the Obama administration, it's Donald Trump and the Trump administration, where, needless to say, the energy secretary is not Nobel Prize winning physicist Stephen Chu. This time, under Donald Trump, it's this guy.
And who are
last
you?
week announced on Twitter that, hey, great news, everybody. The U.S. Navy has started escorting oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. He announced that publicly when the U.S. Navy was absolutely not doing that. And the markets went up, 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 up. And the price of oil went down, 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 down. And then Trump's genius energy secretary deleted that tweet with no comment. And so then the markets went down, 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 and the oil price went up, 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 because this is the level of genius and competence we are dealing with at the helm as an arsonist mad king president sets the world on fire. That same energy secretary also on Friday announced that thanks to the emergency President Donald Trump has declared, Trump administration has also ordered, in addition to the ultra deep water drilling contract given to, or permission given to BP, Trump administration has also ordered the restarting of a particular pipeline in Southern California. This is a pipeline that has not been operational for more than a decade. And why has it not been operational for more than a decade? Well, because this is what it looked like the last time that pipeline was operational, when it broke open and was spewing oil uncontrollably in one of the worst California oil spills of all time, affecting roughly 100 miles of the state's coastline.
Did Donald Trump lower the flags for the returning military?
The opening of that pipeline. That the last time it was in operation, it barfed oil all over Southern California. They say it's fully repaired now. So we'll see.
Okay, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and end it. Because y'all not hitting the like button.
Just told BP, of all companies, they've told BP to go right ahead with the new ultra deep water horizon because nobody remembers what happened last time, right? That was fine. Worked out okay. Walruses seem okay. When Trump's energy secretary, Chris Wright, tweeted out that the U.S. Navy was escorting ships through the Strait of Hormuz, when in fact we weren't, did he think they were? Did somebody tell him that we were? Did he have a good reason to believe it? When
information gets messy. It always has. But there's a difference between the fog of war and somebody deliberately pulling the curtain down so you can't see what's happening behind it. Now, what I want to talk to you about today is something that should concern every American, and I mean every single one of you, regardless of party. Because when a sitting president of the United States goes on social media during an active military conflict and tells the country that what they're seeing isn't real, that the reporters covering it are committing treason, and that the government agency responsible for broadcast licenses should start punishing newsrooms, well, that's not just politics. That's a test of who we are. And look, I'll be the first to say, AI-generated disinformation is real. Iran has used it. That's a fact. Nobody serious is disputing that. But here's what most people don't realize, and we'll come back to this in a moment. There's a very big difference between fighting fake images online and using the existence of those fake images to tell the American people they have no right to ask hard questions about a war.
Hold on, y'all. My system is sticking.
Most of them never wanted. That distinction matters. Right to ask hard questions about a war most of them never wanted. That distinction matters. And if we lose sight of it, what we lose isn't just a news cycle. It's something fundamental about how this democracy is supposed to work. So let's walk through this carefully. Now, let me set the stage here, because context matters. It always does. The United States is currently engaged in active military operations against Iran alongside Israel. This escalated significantly starting in late February of 2026. And almost immediately, something happened that we've never quite seen at this scale before. AI-generated images and videos started flooding the internet. Fake footage of kamikaze boats attacking ships. Fabricated satellite photos of burning aircraft carriers. Doctored imagery designed to make Iran's military look far more capable than it actually is. And I want to be clear, that's real. The BBC documented it. Wired covered it. AFP fact-checkers flagged dozens of these images. Iran has a long history of media manipulation, and AI has supercharged that capability.
Okay.
Nobody honest is pretending otherwise. But here's where it gets complicated, and I speak from experience. When I was dealing with Kosovo, with Bosnia, with the aftermath of the embassy bombings in Kenya and Tanzania, there was disinformation then too. Hostile actors planted stories. They manipulated images, crudely by today's standards, but they did it. And you know what we did? We pushed back with facts. We let the press do its job. We didn't call reporters traitors. Because here's what I learned sitting in that Oval Office. The existence of some false information has never, not once in American history, meant that all critical reporting is false. And when a president starts treating those two things as if they're the same, that's not a national security strategy. That's a communication strategy. And those are very different things. Now, President Trump posted a lengthy statement on Truth Social, and in it he acknowledged his own words that one of the refueling planes reportedly struck at Prince Sultan Air Base is still not flying. The Wall Street Journal reported that 5 were hit, sourcing it to U.S. defense officials, and Reuters confirmed elements of that account. So even by the president's own admission, the story wasn't entirely fabricated. There was real damage. And that little detail, with the exception of one, that's the crack in the wall that tells you this isn't really about AI at all. And we'll get to what it is really about. But first, let's look at exactly what was said. Let me tell you something. I've read a lot of presidential statements in my life. I've written more than a few myself. And when I read President Trump's Truth Social post, I did what I always do. I went through it line by line because the details matter. They always do. He starts with something true. Iran uses media manipulation and AI-generated content. Correct, documented, no argument from me. He mentions phony kamikaze boats. Fact checkers confirm those images were fabricated. He says the USS Abraham Lincoln was never struck and wasn't even shot at. CENTCOM confirmed that. So far, he's on solid ground. But then comes the pivot. And this is where you have to pay close attention.
I need for y'all to hit the like button.
He calls the Wall Street Journal's reporting on damaged refueling planes false reporting.
I need the likes up. It's about to get hot. The tea about to get hot. If you can't hit the like button, double tap the face of your phone. Support my platform or leave. It's just that simple.
But the journal sourced that story to U.S. defense officials. And in the very same post, fact checkers confirm those images always do. He starts with something true.
Don't come back in and not hit the like button. Double tap the face of your screen. Get the likes up.
Iran uses media manipulation and AI-generated content. Correct, documented, no argument from me. He mentions phony kamikaze boats. Fact checkers confirm those images were fabricated. He says the USS Abraham Lincoln was never struck and wasn't even shot at. CENTCOM confirmed that. So far, he's on solid ground. But then comes the pivot, and this is where you have to pay close attention. He calls the Wall Street Journal's reporting on damaged refueling planes false reporting. But the journal sourced that story to U.S. defense officials.
The rule still applies. Hit the like button. Or get out and stay out respectfully. And stop coming back in here. Y'all kill me.
And in the very same post,
I'm sick with that.
Trump admits one of those
like somebody
claims
charging you a
still
fee
isn't
for a like
fine.
button. Get out. And stop coming back in.
Now, in my experience, when a story is sourced to military officials and the president himself partially confirms the damage, calling it fake doesn't hold up. That's not combating disinformation. That's rewriting it. Then he goes
And we
further.
know he good at rewriting.
He accuses American media outlets of working in close coordination with Iran. That is an extraordinary claim. And he provides zero evidence for it. None. And then, and this is the part that should genuinely alarm people, he says those media outlets should face charges for treason. Now, I want folks to understand what treason means under Article 3 of the Constitution. It means levying war against the United States or giving aid and comfort to its enemies. Reporting unfavorable news, even if it turns out to be wrong, is not treason. It has never been treason. And the moment a president starts using that word against journalists during wartime, we are in territory that should frighten everyone, regardless of how they feel about the media. He ends the post talking about his election landslide.
Yeah, but he know the word treason is being used for him, Joe.
And that tells you something too.
So he's putting it on the
Because
media.
when national security and personal scorekeeping start sharing the same paragraph, the country's got a problem. Now look, I'm not going to stand here and pretend that being president during a military conflict is easy. It's not. I know that firsthand. When the USS Cole was bombed in October of 2000, when we were making life and death decisions during the NATO campaign in Kosovo, there were times when the information was incomplete, when the press got things wrong, when hostile actors tried to shape the narrative. That's the reality of war. But here's what a responsible commander-in-chief does in those moments. You strengthen the public's access to verified information. You hold press briefings with military officials who can speak to the facts. You empower independent journalism because you understand that a well-informed public is not your enemy. It's your greatest asset. And when the press makes a mistake, you correct the record. You don't call for treason charges. What we're seeing instead is a president who responds to critical coverage not with evidence, but with threats. Dismiss it, discredit it, and if that doesn't work, punish it. That's not the behavior of a leader.
He owned his mistakes,
who's confident
though.
The facts
He
are
didn't
on his
deny
side.
them. He didn't.
That's the behavior
He
of
put
someone
something in
who
place to
doesn't want the
correct
facts
whatever
examined
it
at
was.
all. And here's something that
And he
really
ain't never
concerns
romped
me.
with stuff. And he ain't never just
And I say
outright
this as
lied.
someone who sent Americans
And he didn't mess
into
with
harm's
kids.
When service members
He was
are
never a
deployed,
PDFer.
when real military assets are being targeted, the public and the Congress have a right to know what's happening. If planes were damaged at Prince Sultan Air Base, the American people deserve that information. If they weren't,
Never did I feel like he was
provide the
stealing from
evidence
us.
and let the
Never.
record speak for itself. But you don't get to wave the word treason.
He's
at
stealing. His
reporters
kids are
and
stealing.
then praise
His
your FCC
son-in-law
chairman
stealing.
for
He's
threatening
stealing for
broadcast
himself and
licenses
he's stealing for
and call
Israel.
that leadership. That's not leadership.
No. So
That's
y'all need to stop
intimidation.
comparing him to
And
Obama.
I'll be direct about this.
Find somebody
When a
else who
president
was doing the
publicly
same shit
celebrates
he was
a
doing.
regulatory official threatening the licenses of news organizations that cover him critically.
We're not going to talk
That's
about
not how a
Obama.
democracy
Hold on.
handles
We're not going to
disagreements
make this
about
be about Obama. We got a man in office that has thousands and thousands of kids that he has great or unalived, who has us in a war that's not our war. You done skipped over presidents. We're going to leave Obama out of this. What about who's in office right now and he has allegations of great against him? Let's talk about that. Because if we can't talk about the errors and ways of the man who's affecting us now, then what are we talking about? I'm taking my earpiece off. So we in trouble now. There's been 2 presidents in between Obama and him in office this time. And why are we talking about Obama? I mean, like, really? Because whatever Obama messed up, then Trump should have got it right when he came into office after him, right? If it's so bad, oh, it's just horrible, horrible, horrible. When Trump took office after Obama, he was in good position. Good position. He fucked it up. Then Biden, not Biden, Biden, not Biden, Biden clone. And then back to Trump. Now, again, why are we talking about Biden? I mean, Obama? Yeah, that don't make sense to me. Hell, whatever he did, Trump should have fixed it his first go around, and he didn't. Obamacare was very helpful. I bet you people wish they had it now. Man, go on with that. Stick with the topic at hand.
A state media apparatus. And every American,
respectfully,
left or right, should be troubled by that. We've got to remember something fundamental here, so let me walk through it carefully. The FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, licenses local broadcast stations, not cable news, not newspapers, not websites. Local broadcasters who use public
release
airwaves.
The Epstein files.
And the process of license renewal is supposed to be a regulatory function. Technical, procedural, nonpartisan. It was never designed to be a political weapon. Now, when FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, appointed by President Trump, retweets the president's post and warns broadcasters to correct course before their license renewals come up, that changes the nature of the institution entirely. That's not regulation, that's coercion. And it doesn't matter whether a single license is actually revoked, because the damage is done the moment the threat is made. There's a concept in First Amendment law called the chilling effect. It means you don't have to actually punish speech to suppress it. You just have to make people afraid of what happens if they speak. And when newsrooms start wondering whether covering a war honestly might cost them their license, the press doesn't get louder, it gets quieter. And wartime is exactly the worst moment for that to happen. Now, here's what I find significant, and this isn't a partisan observation. Senator Ron Johnson, Republican from Wisconsin, a Trump ally, publicly said on March 15th that this crosses a line.
Absolutely.
When members of the president's own party are raising alarms about press freedom, that should tell you something about the seriousness of the moment. History teaches us this lesson over and over. Nixon's enemies list targeted reporters. It didn't end well for Nixon. The Pentagon Papers case went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the court sided with the press. Every single time an American president has tried to control the flow of information by threatening journalists, history has judged them harshly.
Hit the like button.
Time. The First Amendment says Congress
double
shall
tap
make
the
no
face
law
of your phone.
abridging
Hit
the
the 3
freedom
dots
of
at the
speech
top corner
or
right.
of the press.
I promise
It
this is my
doesn't
last
say
time saying it.
Unless there's a war. It doesn't say unless the president disagrees with the coverage. It's there for exactly this moment. When a government wants to silence questions it doesn't want to answer. Here's the honest truth. and I want everybody to really hear this part. Let's look at the numbers. According to NBC polling from March 2026, 54% of Americans disapprove of how the president is handling Iran. CNN reported on March 2nd that 59% disapprove of the strikes. PBS found on March 6th that 60% say the president has no clear plan. Quinnipiac shows 74% oppose sending ground troops. Those aren't partisan numbers. That's a broad, bipartisan majority of the country saying, we don't understand the strategy, we don't support this path, and nobody's explaining to us where it leads. Now, I've been in rooms where you look at poll numbers like that, and you know you've got a problem. And there are two ways to handle it. You can go to the American people, explain your reasoning, lay out the end game, and trust them with the truth. Or, and this is the road that concerns me, you can find a way to make sure they never hear the questions in the first place. And that's where the AI accusations become something more than a national security concern. They become a political shield. Because once you establish that AI-generated disinformation exists, and it does, you can point to it every time a story you don't like surfaces.
Right.
Reporting about damage to U.S. assets, Iranian AI. Questions about strategy, fake news. Criticism from within your own coalition, the radical left-wing press. The label of treason isn't a legal strategy. Nobody's actually going to prosecute the Wall Street Journal. It's a messaging strategy designed to